Hello everyone, I hope you're doing fine. My name is Skyline, and today we have yet another installment in our Map Mastery series where we tell you everything you need to know to be successful with these maps in solo queue, or at least most of the things, and today we're doing Hollywood. As always, we're starting out on attack first, and as always, we're going to not get ahead of ourselves and first look at the spawn. So it's pretty frequent on Hollywood. The people just start from here, pretty simple, and go to the point. This gets a lot of teams in trouble, even at the pro level, teams get in trouble doing this. And so, of course, this is the shortest path to the point, but it is also the worst in that defenders can be sitting here, shooting at you. I mean, they could even be spawn camping you. This is not even that terrible a place to be defending as defenders because of all the cover. And, you get spammed out, you get flame stricken, you get Symmetra orbed, you get all these turrets or whatever, I don't know. All sorts of terrible stuff happens to you if you walk through this particular door. Plus, they can see your team composition immediately. So let's do one of the other two options, which is this one, which allows you to go over here, or maybe your DPS can take the high ground real quick, a Widowmaker, a Soldier or something. But anyway, the rest of your team can come through here, and there you go. Now you're safely through, no problem. The other alternative, of course, being the left side. You can come through this door, and this is totally safe. You just come through here, and you're fine. Just down the stairs, and look, immediately in a position where you can look at the point. Now, of course, your team will still frequently choose this entrance, but at least you can be the safe one. All right, now on to the main attack. So there are, in the biggest sense, two entrances to the point. There's that one and that one. So this one has the advantage of being closer. It's quite close, almost no distance at all. This one is further away by a significant margin, but it has the advantage of being wider and not so easy to be choked out in. This entrance also gives you easier access. If you don't want to immediately just go and kill them, you can do cute stuff like a flanker around there, come onto the high ground. Flanker can just jump onto the high ground. So this is the less direct fight, more mobility, flankiness route. And this is the more just run out and go kill them route. This entrance is always going to be better for teams that are bulkier, tankier, more of a death ball style composition, not a lot of mobility. They just want to get onto the point and start fighting people. And they don't care about these, all this stuff over here. Whereas this entrance is better for mobile, flanky type of compositions that don't want to immediately take a direct fight, but instead work all of this area. Generally on Hollywood, because these two entrances are just so distinct from each other, you want to pick a very focused composition, either like full fighting or full diving mobility sort of thing. Because if you go half and half, for example, if you go half fighty and you go through here, you're just going to be blown up at the choke. And if you go half mobile and you go through here, you won't have enough to really take all the places you need to in this back area of the point. So the strategy for the more straightforward path is pretty easy. You just go through here, make sure you check this corner, make sure no one's back there, like a Torbjorn or a Soldier, or McCree likes to stand back there, sometimes a Hanzo, and you just walk in and you kill everybody. If, you can go in there to hide, you can go behind these boxes to prevent any sort of retakes. And so that's pretty simple. The harder one would be this route with the more mobile divey composition. So with this route, you're relying on a Genji or a Pharah or something to be able to pretty easily take this high ground, because taking it up the stairs is not very pleasant if the other team really doesn't want you to take it. So being able to come up with like a Genji here and then someone around the stairs and then a Pharah shooting from over there makes the high ground basically yours automatically. If the enemy team is holding here, that's quite good because you can come around them from here. You can go directly from the stairs. You can come from this direction, take there, go over here. So that's quite strong against this. It's a little bit trickier when they're holding Cafe, because here it's like you can't really flank them. This is all looking at you. The answer to a lot of people sitting up here that organized teams come up with is just go kill them real fast. Go full dive, jump up there, and beat them up, because there's no cover. There's pretty much nowhere to run because you jump immediately downwards, so it's not like you can run away. But I could see how this would be a little bit difficult to break in solo queue. It's not too bad though. It just takes a couple extra seconds to have a flanker go in through this area. It's very safe. Imagine it's a tracer, for example. You just go blink, like this, and then you blink up, and suddenly you're harassing their back line, and they're in big trouble because now they're sandwiched from both sides. That's basically it for the attack on the first point. Just remember that go either all in for the death ball or all in for mobility. Half and half definitely is not so good on the first point of Hollywood here. But on defense, again, you have that duality of you can go mobile, you can go defensive. You have a little bit more opportunity to mix it up. So I'll start with the hyper defensive composition where you have a lot of backline DPS and some, a lot of backline tanks and peeling tanks and stuff. So the two best places to hold are going to be up here, like we went over before. This is going to be a little bit stronger in solo queue because people have a harder time really mustering up the coordination to get up here and kill you and take advantage of the fact that you have no cover. But I think that another really strong one, particularly in organized play that we've been seeing professional teams use and such, is back here. And so you see there's so much cover. You have that, you even have access to the elevator there if you really want. You have a place to hide for your supports. This is so nice to hide. Especially if someone gets really hurt, they can hide back here, no problem. I would say this is even safe enough for the support that you can run just a single healer with a Torbjorn. That's very popular on this map in organized play. And so, yeah, either up here, this is normal, or over here, this is less normal, but really, really cool. And this will stop pretty much any death ball push coming directly forward, because they're going to just run into you in here, and you have all this cover. You even have access to this. You can hide back here, no problem. You just have to be careful for flanking routes. You need someone to be able to keep this back alley clean. You don't want anyone coming back behind you, assassinating your supports. But besides that, you don't have many other weaknesses. Even if it's not your entire team, just you yourself hiding back there is quite strong. Of course, holding up here, you need to be pretty quick on your fingers, because if you're holding up here, attacking, shooting, and someone dives you, you need to immediately run away. Plus, you're kind of relying on your tanks to peel you, and if they don't, you're sort of dead. So I think that this, well, is very strong when it works, is risky. You have to make sure that you have a team composition that's ready to hold on Cafe. The other option is to have more of a mobile defense, and when you do that, you do not want to be holding up here or back there. This is for the backline death volley sort of defense. Instead, you want to be holding up here, because as a mobile composition, you can have easy access up here. You can jump up, you can jump down, you can come around, have people have easy access back and forth through alleyway. And so if you hold further up here and put pressure on them, not allow them to get to the high ground, then you can take control of this part of the map and really just shut them down trying to go this way. And then if they come this way, you do have tools to work with. You have people who can harass from up on this high ground, and you have people who can come from the back from alley. So the key to the first point of Hollywood is knowing your team composition's strength and playing to it, pretty much. Mobile compositions want to play up, and backline compositions want to play back. Pretty normal for most maps, but on the first point of Hollywood, I think it is particularly accented. Now, moving on to the second part of Hollywood, this is a very fighty type of map. Lots of just straight up fights, because you see this is just one long road of just flatness and not a lot of cover. And then on the side, you have two other lanes that are pretty similar. So the one way that you can get the most advantage in this map is by taking control of this back alley area. Well, I kind of divide this map into two segments. There's this. So when the payload's back here, that's like phase 1, and when the payload's up beyond that point, it's like phase 2. So in phase 1, you want to take back alley. If you don't do this as both attackers and defenders, by the way, this is a mirrored map pretty much for both of the sides. So as attackers and defenders, you have to take control of this, because think about it. You're pushing the cart, pushing the payload. Let's get into a good position. Let's say the payload's like over here. Now, if you are on attack and you can take control of back alley, first of all, the obvious part is you get control of the elevator. That's very strong. You can jump up here. But you also have access to this back flanking route. You also have access to this area of the map where you can cross like that, so you have more mobility for your team. It gives you a ton of utility on attack and on defense as well. You can come in and you have access to the elevator. You have access to this back flanking path to deal with the defenders, and you have this path as well. So whoever controls back alley has such a massive advantage when it comes to the actual payload fight, it's really important, especially if you're in solo queue and your team doesn't have control of it. Pick a hero like a Genji or a Winston or something, a soldier even, anything, to come back here and try to wrest back control of alleyway. And once you have that, pretty much whichever team has this wins this first phase of Hollywood. But then there is this second phase when the cart has already pushed beyond here. At that point, this back alley is no longer useful because it doesn't give any actual flankiness. If the cart's back here, then you can't. This is just a straight up path. Doesn't matter. So now the important alley is back here. This is the most important part. And Saloon, it kind of is a part of that as well, but this is definitely what you want to control. Not only for the elevator, this is obviously a great bonus. Whoever controls this elevator has a huge advantage, but also for the attackers, this is a flanking route. Bam, you're behind the defenders. And for the defenders, this is a flanking route also. Bam, you're behind the attackers. So basically, Hollywood split into two parts. In the first part, you want to control this, and the second part, you want to control this. They're pretty much the same part except repeated. It's just that in this second part, the attackers don't have a spawn advantage. So coming up with making small mistakes and just brute forcing will work here, but not here. That's where a lot of teams get stuck. Obviously, if you are able to win control of these elevators, you don't necessarily need a super mobile composition, but because you can't guarantee that, and you can't really rely on the fact you're always going to win it, you have to really run at least a Winston or a Genji to help out the fight up here, for example. Because if you have a soldier, he comes up here, and he's coming around, and he's pew-pew-pewing at people from up here. He can easily be attacked by a Genji, a Winston, and so having at least one supporting character who can jump up and help out whoever's up here is very strong. I suggest even two potentially if you're on attack. Pharah is very strong in this map as well. Basically anyone who can play with these rooftops, because remember, if you're trying to take control of back alley, if you already have the roof, then it's very easy. Of course, I will note this side flanky area on the right side through Saloon and stuff and the jail, or not Saloon, the jail, and it's okay. It's functional. I think that if you're a flanker, if you're a tracer or something, you should be aware of this, because if you don't have control of back alley, then this is a freebie flanking area that you can use. It's just very long, so if you have additional time, you can use it, but if you don't, it might be a little bit cumbersome to use because you have to go all the way through there. Like I said, this is a mirrored map pretty much for the goals of the attackers and defenders, so once again, the attackers are pushing up through here with their main force, and they need to have control of this as well with the side force. Basically, take this at any cost. Even if the payload is pushing, if you don't have control of this, just go and take it, and then sweep around again and take the payload afterwards. And the same goes for in this location, although it's a little bit easier. Make sure you're not getting wrecked by this angle up here. You need to have someone available to deal with that. You also have the county jail for heroes like Widowmaker and Junkrat, who can get access to this. Also, Soldier can jump over there with a sprint and a rocket, get on top of it. It's not something you can rely on, but if they don't have a Pharah or if they don't have anything that can really get up here and deal with it, it can be very strong. Of course, the main body of your force, like your supports and stuff, will be in this area. The supports need to be very careful because there isn't a lot of cover in this part of the map for them to hide behind. A lot of times you'll see supports get dove in here and die in here, and that's not very good. Using, you have to have a peeling tank really to sit back here with your supports, otherwise it becomes very difficult for them. You can kind of use jail, you can use this area back here, it's pretty strong. If you have like an Ana and Zenyatta paired up, working together, or like an Ana and a Lucio paired up working together, it can be very easy to hold off flankers if you're sitting back here. So that's pretty much the second segment. Let's get into the last one and call it a day after that. So this last segment is pretty confusing for a lot of people. Understandably, you have like this thing and you have this place. Like these fights get very, very convoluted very, very fast in this, I guess, middle area. This is the end area. I'm going to call this the middle area, the first phase, if you will, of the third point. These fights can be really confusing, and people like teams attackers can just get stalled here because they don't have that much of a goal. So if you have mobility on attack, then this is available to you, but this is more of a defender thing because It's pretty long, plus if there's a defender sitting up here, he's just gonna kill you through the doorway. It's pretty hard to push through, plus this entire platform is pretty much for the defenders to come up and shoot you from. So, while it's okay and you can do it, it's not necessarily always going to be the most useful for the attackers. Instead, the goal of the attackers is to take this area of the map. This is so strong because as the attackers, well, what a lot of people do is a lot of people push in through this. And if you push in through here, you have no cover. It's basically, I mean, you have like a pillar. That's it. Besides that, you're just pushing straight into death, this high ground, these boxes. Not so good. So you want to take this area because this area you have your own cover. You have more cover over here. You can come up here. Control this lane is very important, and you have more cover than they do here. Plus, this gives you access to the holy grail of attacking flanking routes, which is over here. If you have a soldier, a McCree, if you have literally any hero, come up and take control of this, come up here, you win this entire phase as attackers. There is literally no way for the defenders to deal with it if you're playing on remotely the same level of skill, because then what happens is obviously you're shooting down like that, your team's coming in like that, and kersplat, the defenders die. So, as attackers, you simply have to take this, and you'll win this phase. So whether it's your entire team doing it or just you alone, take this and you'll win the phase. Of course, as defenders, your job is to not let them do that. You should always have people in here preventing pushes like this. You want to hold up more, take advantage of the fact you have boxes and stuff, and try to not let particularly attackers take this. Once they have this and they're shooting you from these boxes and shooting you from here, there's not too much you can do. So the only thing you can do as defenders, and a lot of times you'll see teams in organized and professional play do this, is to hold up pretty aggressively on this first like part of the third point. Gets a little bit confusing, I guess, in that way. And that's pretty much it. Once you give this up, it's very, like, you can't defend this. This is impossible to defend. The attackers will just overrun you. So once they have taken this area of the map, as a defender, just completely back off. Don't even try to defend this. And that leaves us for the last section of the map. And this one is, well, defender favorite, obviously, as far as the spawns go. So the attackers, if you are here, the attackers have control to these back stairwells over here, if you remember, through the wall. And they can come up here, around, and then they pop out here. So the attackers will have access to this area, no matter what, if you're on defense and you're pushed back here. If you let the attackers take this high ground, you are dead. 100%. So you need to always have at least one hero. If that has to be you, then make it you. You have to have one hero controlling this. It's very easy to hold someone off from this angle. If someone's trying to cross through this entire way, it's very easy to just stay here, hold them off, prevent them from escaping, or prevent them from progressing rather. And then at the same time, you can also check to potentially help your team out at the same time. So this is a pretty strong spot. This hides from everybody. This peeks the guy up top, and this peeks your team down below. Very strong spot. Also, there are these two side doors. This one less so, this one more so, because the attackers have a very easy path to get up here without being seen. Here, I mean, they have to pretty much walk straight into you. Like, they have to be here by the time they can actually use this path. So mostly you will be worrying about controlling this area. Having like one person poke and prod and try to shut down this lane and maybe try to shut down the people coming up the stairs can be very, very strong. Because if you focus too much on this area of the map, whoa, that was an inaccurate circle, that area of the map, then there is the potential of having this thing happen to you. And that's pretty painful. So always try to make sure as defenders you have one person holding up here. Your main force is obviously going to be here, and then you need to have someone, even if he's not full committing, just like taking a look, kind of putting pressure, making sure not a lot of people are coming up through this side route. And at that point, it's pretty hard for the attackers to actually find a way around you. They have to overpower you at some point, like either this guy, I'll put him in red, either this guy overpowers you here, or someone overpowers you here, or someone I mean, it's pretty hard for them to just come through the center, but they theoretically can. Someone needs to outplay someone on attack for the defenders to lose here. But if you are on attack, there are a couple tricks you can use. First of all, I mean, if you just send your entire team up top, I know it's not going to happen in solo queue, but if you send multiple people, like 2 or 3 people up top, you can take this, and then, you know, those 2 can drop down. You can have your 1 DPS stay up here, and that's a guaranteed way to take the high ground. Also, supports are pretty vulnerable, so having a diver like a Winston or a Genji or something can dive these supports, and it's pretty hard for them to actually hold it. Alright, if you want to watch more content that's very similar to this, check out my second channel. I'll link it down below, where I do Overwatch dailies every single day. We go over pro matches or other organized play types of scenarios, and we see how those teams play these maps, and a lot of times we can learn quite a bit from them. So go ahead and check it out. I also do them. It is a live show as well if you want to interact. It's at 4 p.m. on my Twitch, linked below as well. But, you know, most importantly, if you can check out that second channel. They're all recorded there. You can see it afterwards. So go take a look at that. Swing by, say hi. Be sure to leave any questions, comments, or, of course, secret strategies down below. Also, any cool map tips, like are there any cool places that Pharah can fly or a soldier can rocket jump? You know, those sorts of things. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Never forget to stay positive and have a great day. See you later.